Hey everyone, welcome back to day 03 of React design patterns. Today we are tackling one of my favorite design pattern is the compound components pattern. If you have ever built a model, a tabs component or even a drop down and ended up with 15 props for it, congratulations, you have already run into the mess that this particular pattern solves. Let's break that mess apart and fix the problem. That's why this video will be very important for you if you are thinking about coding in React or already coding in React. So what do we plan to learn today? Today's focus will be on understanding how components get bloated with something called prop soup. Okay, prop soup is not at all a technical term. This is a term that may be coming from me or coming from folks who have suffered enough due to a lot of props usage for their component. So we'll see like how components get bloated because of the usage of props. And that's why this particular pattern come into picture where we'll be talking about the component patterns. We're going to take a couple of example to demonstrate the pattern. As you know that we always start with a messy way of showing things. That's how most of the people tend to do. And then we solve that problem with the pattern. We're going to do the same today. Then we'll be talking about a few use cases where you can apply this pattern effectively and efficiently. We're also going to talk about the pitfalls and the anti-patterns. And finally, none of our session gets over without the task, right? So we're going to talk about the task. To be honest, the prerequisite for this session is completing the previous two design patterns that we have spoken. Because while taking those episodes, you would have already learned about state, effect, props, etc. For this particular pattern understanding, I think that is going to be sufficient. I also would like to highlight that standing on day 03, where we're talking about the compound components pattern, we are going to revisit this pattern once more when we'll be going to day 7, where we'll be learning about the provider pattern, we'll be learning about the context APIs and usage of them. Context API and the compound components pattern sometimes come together to solve some bigger problems. As we have not learned about the provider patterns yet, I'm going to skip that tiny portion in this video, but I'm going to revisit that again when we hit this day 7, right? In case you're wondering about this doc, this is the learning template that I've shared with you. The link of this template is again in the description of this video. I would strongly recommend that you utilize this template to track what you are learning, how you are learning, take your daily notes over here so that at the end of this course, when you want to revisit something for your own learning, self-learning, this is what is going to help you. You don't have to revisit these videos again. All right. Now to explain you the problem without this pattern, explain you that prop soup that we were talking about and many other situations around it, let us start coding. So I'm with my VS Code editor. I've created a folder called day 03. The first thing that we're going to do is we'll be creating a React project, a React 19 project, because that's the latest version we're using throughout in this course. So use this command called npx digit atapas slash code in React 19 #main and then give a project folder name of your choice. As you are learning the compound components, I have given compound hyphen components hyphen patterns and then press enter. This is going to create a project scaffolding for you using Vite. So if you come to day 03, expand it, now you have this React projects created using Vite. All right, so you didn't have to do any setup by yourself. Everything is done because our focus is on the patterns, not on creating this project. If I go inside SRC, I have a bunch of files again that I can actually start using to finish my code. But before that, let me run this. I'll go to this compound components pattern folder. I'll install all the dependencies using yarn command. You can use npm install, pnpm install. And after that, I'll be running yarn dev or npm run dev equivalent to make sure that the UI is running locally on localhost 5173. When I try to access this UI on browser, I get to see this basic code that comes with the scaffolding, which we are going to change. So first thing first, we are going to talk about the messy way of handling component. And for that, let me take an example of a modal. What is a modal? You know, right? The modal dialogues, something that pops up on your screen where user have to give a lot of attention to complete their work, and once the work is done, user can get rid of the modal to go along with the rest of the user interfaces. So modal is a very important UI aspect, I would say, and we see it very frequently in our life. So let's develop a model, mostly usual way. That's how I think that many of the developers should do. And then try to figure out what is the problem with that model and how the pattern that we are talking today is going to solve this problem. And we'll also be writing the code for that. Coming to the src folder, right click, create a new folder called messy, because you're going to write the messy component, and then create a new file called Modal.JSX. And here let's create a React component, a very basic React component with the name modal, right? Now, instead of returning a div, let's do something useful over here so that it looks like a modal, right? Let's provide a div which we can call as a modal container, okay? Usually a modal will have a heading. So let's use a h2 to define the heading of the modal or the title of the modal. And we can take this title as a prop so that we have some reusability for this modal. Whoever using this modal from outside can pass this title, and this title can be used over here. And then we will have a content area for this modal or the body of the modal. For that purpose, let us use a paragraph tag, and we see the modal body. We can also take this body as the props. After that, we can take something like a footer. So let's create another div. We can say this is a modal footer, and inside this modal footer we can have, say, two action button. One action button we can call as secondary action, so let's pass that, maybe cancel for example, and let's take that also as a prop. And then there will be another action button that we can take as a primary action, maybe save, right, create user, delete user, all these things, and this also let us take as a prop. So right now I have title, body, primary action, secondary action, all defined as prop. I have used these props to define the title, body, secondary action, primary action. Fair enough. Many a times we create model like this. As this model component is ready, let us use this model component first. So for that purpose, let us go to app.jsx file. Whatever we have, the basic code came with the scaffolding. Let's delete everything. And over here, let us import the model that we have created from the messy folder. Let us import the app.css also. I have written a few basic CSS inside app.css, like this modal container, modal header, modal footer, things like that. These are all very basic CSS that I'm sure like you understand this. And this is also given to you so that any point in time you want to refer this, you can always refer it. The link to this GitHub repo is also in the description of this video. Let's go back to app.jsx. Coming here, let's use the modal. So modal component, let's close this guy, and one by one, let us pass the props. The first prop, if you remember, of the modal is the title. So let us pass our title, let's say delete account. The next prop is the body. So let's pass the body as a, are you sure you want to delete your account, right? Basically, this is a confirmation model. And then we have a primary action and secondary action. So the primary action can be a button with a text called delete, and secondary option is another button with a text called cancel. That's it, my usage of modal into the app.jsx file. Now, if I go to my UI, I can see a modal over here which says delete account. Are you sure you want to delete your account? Cancel and delete button. Usually when the modal comes, you see there is a backdrop, right? Backdrop where the rest of the UI is at the backside and your whole focus comes on the modal itself. We can quickly do that as well so that it looks like a real modal. We can go to modal.jsx. We can wrap this entire modal with another div like this. And in the app.css file, I have written a class called modal backdrop, whose background is like this blackish color, and the position is fixed so that it gives a backdrop effect. And coming to modal.jsx, I can just add the class name equals to that particular class. Now, if I go to the UI, now it looks like a modal, isn't it? Backside UI is behind the background and you have this modal. This button doesn't do anything because I have not written any implementation for it, but this looks like a modal. Now, the question to you, if you come to this modal.jsx file, what kind of problem do you think that this component is going to give you? Or if at all, there is a problem that you can identify. Let's take some time. You think. So you found anything? Let me explain some of the problem that I think this implementation will have. The first problem is lack of flexibility. This implementation follows a very rigid structure. So I feel that there is a lack of flexibility. This modal dictates how exactly this modal should get rendered. It means that there should be a title, body, primary action, secondary action, etc. What if tomorrow, if you want a modal without any title, right? Or a modal with a custom layout, maybe some kind of image or a form instead of a paragraph? What if you have that demand? What if you want a third action instead of just cancel, instead of just the save, you want something like a help? So you want three actions. One is like help, cancel, delete. With these three requirement, I think you are stuck. And only way that you can come out of this problem is by changing the props. Correct? So you have to add more props over here if you need another action, right? As a third action for help, you have to probably pass an image again as a prop, because here I am hard coding things with paragraph. If you want anything else, you have to again pass it, you have to put it in condition, and that's how this model will be working to solve your use case. Your use case might get solved, but your code will start becoming ugly and will start smelling. We have been talking about code smelling a lot, right, in this course. Yes, that's how you introduce code smelling. Then the second problem that I find, this model is doing mixed responsibilities. You remember we spoke about the philosophy called separation of concerns? Yes, so it's breaking that principle. How? This model is trying to do two things at least. One is handling the layout or the structure of the UI. Second, it handle the content and the variation also, right? So it is actually doing both things, handling the layout and the structure that usually a container does apart from the data. We have learned that in the container presenter pattern. Second thing, handling the content and the variations that a presenter does, right, is trying to do both the things. So it violates the separation of concerns. The main problem over here, that the model should not care if it is a delete model, sign up model, info model, what kind of model. But right now it is look like that is very, very rigidly associated with a delete, a confirmation kind of model, or maybe a sign up kind of model, or maybe a create user kind of model. But if you want a different variation of it, I think you have to again change the props. So a model ideally should be just the shell, but in this case, it is doing a lot of responsibilities than what it should be doing. Third problem with this is a very, very hard to use component because of the two problems that we have spoken about. Right now, if you want a model with this particular heading with warning, here instead of P, you want an image tag, and along with the image tag, you want a description of it. How are you going to do it? Are you going to change this model again? Then for all other usages, your implementation will break. Or you will again pass a bunch of props over here to do it conditionally inside it. Are you seeing how the code smell may increase as and when you have new use cases to solve using the same component? So this is how it is hard to reuse. Reusability is gone. And as the reusability is gone, it has got a poor scalability. It got a scalability problem. Imagine you are building a design system or a component library. Okay. Now you need different variation of the model. You need info model, you need confirmation model, you need form model, etc. Now with this prop driven approach, you either add 20 props. I have seen components like that, like image, icon, form, extraction, etc. Or you have to fork this model to create different implementation of it, which is huge in terms of maintenance. It doesn't scale, right? So scalability is another problem with this implementation. And the last but not the least, though most of the developers don't care, testing it out with tightly coupled props, your unit test will look horrible, believe me. So with this problem, I consider this implementation of model is a messy implementation. We just saw where developers go wrong most of the time, right? They try to make a component very smart. And to make the component too smart, they throw every possible variation of the props with the components. And that's when they start introducing code smell into that. But where is the secret? Here is the secret. The secret is a best component are actually the dumb components. Again, I don't like the dumb word, but that's how most of the folks recognize the presentational component. So best components are actually those presentational component, those flexible building blocks. And if you can think about, or if you have that mindset like when to create those, I think you're going to solve most of the problems. So compound components pattern lets you build building blocks without worrying much about the edge cases upfront. It's basically like the Lego box. If you have ever played with those Lego bricks, you have those small, small blocks and you kind of put them together to build something. be a house, castle, or whatever it is. Compound components exactly enable you to do that. You take those small unit of components and then you compose them to build something bigger. Now the challenging part of compound components is itself to identify those smaller Lego blocks or the smaller components that you can compose together to build something which is more useful, reusable, and flexible to use. We are going to see that again with code now. Let's apply the pattern, the compound components pattern on the same model and try to see how it become more flexible. We're back to our VS Code again, and again inside src folder, let's create a new folder called with hyphen pattern, and we're going to create a model. So let's create a new folder called model, and inside this we are going to create all our components following this pattern. So what we have seen so far, a model usually need a header, it needs a body where we can keep model content, and it's need a footer where we can keep a lot of action items like different buttons, maybe a button that save things, cancel button, help button, etc. Usually that's how a model looks like. Now our problem was, it seems there are many things are like hard coded. I have given a h2 only over here, but instead of h2, if I need an image or a different kind of element in the header, I don't have a room to do it. I have given a paragraph here. Instead of paragraph, if I need something different, I cannot really do it that flexibly. Here I have given an area, defined an area quite rightfully for all my action buttons in the footer. But what if I have to do something more? I have to add a copyright text in the footer, or I have to add more buttons over here. I am not giving the flexibility of doing it. That's why we can now think about this approach. How about we create a component, a parent component, which called model, that shares some logic, basic skeleton of how the models look like, basic state of it. And then we create a bunch of child component. For example, I need a header. I can create a component for header itself, which can share the parent state and logic, can have its own structure as well. Similarly, I can create for body, I can create for footer. As it is an example for modal, we are only talking about header, body, and footer. Imagine if it is an example for an accordion. You guys all know about the accordion component, right? You can expand, collapse a section of it. There you need something called an accordion as a parent, which can share certain state and logic, and you can have accordion item as a children to this, right? That's how you separate the things out. You don't keep everything, header, body, footer, together, club them together, tightly coupled inside one model. Rather, now you are trying to separate things out. You keep header as a different entity, so that inside this component you can now use whatever you need. You can use a h1, you can use a p, you can use h2, and whatever it is. Similar thing is with the body. You can use a paragraph, you can use an image, you can use a table. You are flexible to do this. In footer, you can use 2 buttons, 3 buttons, a copyright text, whatever you want to do, because nothing is now tightly inside put into one single modal component. Rather, you are providing the flexibility by keeping them separate. So if you keep this particular screen in your brain, now we can go back, refactor our existing modal component, the messy one, keeping this thing into picture, and refactor the code. Okay, so let's go back inside this modal folder. Let's create another file called Modal.jsx. Let's create the component. Here I got the Modal.jsx. Let us also open the messy Modal.jsx side by side. So in the return of our new model, we would need something which can be shared across different child components like the header, body, footer, etc. Definitely, I can share this modal backdrop because this is something has to be in the parent level. So modal backdrop and maybe the modal container. So these two things I can copy from here and I'm going to paste over here. This is one div, and there will be another div that I have to close. Now in our messy implementation, we had used a hard-coded h2 for its header or the title. And we also got this title through the props. Similarly for body, through the prop. Similarly for all this action, through the prop. We're never ever going to do that. Instead of that, we are just going to take one prop, which we'll call as children. So imagine now, from 4 props, we came down to just one prop. Here, you also have the possibility that you can go beyond 4 props. You might have 15, but we will still stick into just one prop for everything required in this model. We might need few additional prop if you want to control the opening and the closing of this model, that we'll see later. Okay, so for now I have this children prop, and taking this children prop inside this container, I define it in this way that I put this children prop over here. So what does it mean? It means that anything that you pass to this model, it will come over here. Now the question is, what am I going to pass to this model, and how am I going to pass this model? Let's see that one by one. So three things that we need right now, right? As per our diagram, we need a modal header, we need a modal body, and we need a modal footer. Let us create those three components as well. So first thing that I'm going to create is a modal header function. Modal header, you can of course use arrow function as well, and let us return. So what are we going to return from here, from the header? Previously the header was having hard-coded h2, and we told that instead of h2, if I want to use something else, so you have to bring that flexibility over here, right? So now I'm enabling this header to take any other React component, any other HTML tag that you want to pass. You want to pass a h1, do. Pass h2, do. Pass image, do. Whatever you want to do it using this children. You want to pass a React component itself? Yes, please do. And then I can create a div and can accept this children over here. See how beautiful it is. You can now pass a React component itself that will come and sit inside this div. You can pass a single h2, it will come and sit inside this div. h1, whatever you want. It's a flexibility that I'm giving to this modal header. Previously, I had used this particular class name for modal header. Let's take this class name and reuse because we have seen it is working. So we'll be using this class name over here. So this is my modal header. Simple. Similarly, with the same philosophy, let us create modal body also. Here goes my modal body. I can take anything. I can take a paragraph. I can take an image. I can take a paragraph and image together. I can take one React component. Anything that you can pass, which will come and sit inside this div, and it will give the modal body. Same thing for the modal footer also now. So here I define again modal footer, exactly same thing. It can take a single element, a React component, whatever it is, and sitting inside this div called modal footer. Now I have header, I have body, I have footer. Now next thing that you need to do is to somehow attach this header, this body, and this footer to my main model. And this is where this particular design pattern, compound components design pattern stand out. You never ever pass this header, body, and footer as a props to this. Rather, you use the fundamentals of composition to create sub properties for this particular model, like this Modal.Header. This is the name that you want to give. Any name you can give, but give something meaningful, and you assign the modal header to this. Okay. Now anywhere I import this modal, because I'm exporting from here, and I do Modal.Header, I'm going to get this modal header component there. This is the beauty of this building block. This is the Lego block I was talking about. Each of these things are the Lego block, those bricks. Now you are making those bricks part of your parent component. So wherever you are importing this parent component, that parent component dot header attribute, if you do, you're going to get back this modal header to use it. This is the beauty of it. Now next thing, I can similarly do modal body equals to modal body, modal footer equals to modal footer. Awesome, isn't it? So now my modal component is ready, but I am sure you have a question in your mind. And if you don't have this question, I am little bit upset. You should have this question in your mind. The question is, we always told that React component should be something which is a component that will do the single work and do it completely, small unit of it. And also for one component, we usually, the best practice is to keep each component into its own file. But what is happening here? The single file, I have created a modal component, I have created a modal header component, modal body component, modal footer component. I have 4 components created from this single file. Am I not breaking any rules over here? This question should come into your mind. Now, this is the rule that I follow. It all depends what you are exporting. You are not seeing me that I am exporting all these 4 components from here. I am exporting just one component. So one file, one component is what I am exporting. That's my rule number 1, the thumb rule number 1. I am not exporting multiple components from here. I'm doing a default export. That means you can export just one thing. That's what I'm doing. And then modal header, modal body, and modal footer are the sub property of the modal component. Okay. Now these sub components, modal header, modal body, modal footer, are meaningful only in the context of modal. Outside of the context of modal, they don't have any usage. They are so small, so tiny, they are like the helper pieces for the modal alone. They don't have real reusability apart from this modal component or outside of this modal component at all. and you want to discover them easily. It means that whenever you're talking about the model, if these are the sub components used inside the model, if they don't have any other usages outside of the model, you want to find them in the single place. That is where it makes perfect sense to create this component in the same file. Okay, but there will be situations where you have to split them into separate files. So if your subcomponents are quite large, for example, modal header itself having its own logic, its own state to play with, its own styling, lot of styling, and you think that that can be reused somewhere else, it always good that you make that as a separate file and keep this component over there. So it's all based on how serious you are to put this thought process, like what exactly reusable versus what is supposed to stay together. In our case, is the case of the thing that is supposed to stay together. I hope this clarifies the thing. Now let us proceed with our modal component. I want to give few more flexibility to this modal, like this modal can be opened by clicking on a button or something, and this modal can be closed by clicking on a cross icon or something. Now, if a modal can be opened by clicking on a button, and if the modal can be closed by clicking on a cross icon on this modal, a cross icon, maybe consider something like that. I've added a button over here saying it as a modal close and added a cross over here. So somebody click on this cross, this modal is supposed to get closed. That's all I am saying. So I can now take two props. One is called is open and another is called on close. Okay. Now this buttons on click, I can call this on close. So it gets closed. I can add certain logic saying that if not is open, then instead of returning the component, I can return null because the model itself is not open. Now you will say, okay, you have passed two more extra props. Yes, these two extra props I have passed, but these props are never connected to any of the children that I have used inside this model. These are completely concerned with, completely related to the outer shell of model itself. This maintains or manages the state of the model, whether it should be opened or it should be closed or not. So this is what I have done just to give you some more thought process, that while you are reducing the code smell by separating out all these different components, header, body, and footer, you may still have to pass the additional props for the outer shell of the model alone if you want to control its behavior some way. Here the behavior is the close and open. This is completely justified. You are not passing hundreds of props, you are not passing plenty of props to control any of the behavior of how the children should behave. Neither header, body, or footer, which we were doing in case of the messy one. Here we are passing the prop for title, body, action, and if any of the things has to be changed, my prop has to change. But now, if any of the things has to change, if I want in the header image, I don't have to change these children at all. That's the beauty of this. If I have to put some table in my body, I don't have to do anything, any change to my model, right? So this is the beauty of it. Now, as the structure is there, as it is understood, it's time that we go to our app.jsx and start using this model. So for that, let me now just get away with this. I don't need this messy model anymore. I'll delete this guy. I don't need this messy model anymore. Now let me import model from with patterns. Okay. And let me first define the model. So this is my model. What kind of props it take? It take a children, is open, is close. That's it. Now this children prop is a bit funny. You don't have to really pass this as a prop like, children equals to something. Whatever you put inside this modal tags, it is going to be considered as children. That's the beauty of it. So you're not going to pass a prop called children equals to some component. Rather, whatever you're going to put over here, in this place, that is what is going to be considered as the children, and this will be passed over here and will be placed beautifully over here. That's the great thing about it, right? Now what I can pass over here, I need modals header, I need modals body, I need modals footer. Where are they going to come from? I told, like, if you have exported this model from here, wherever you import this model, you are not only getting this modal component but all these properties that you have defined. So if you do Modal.Header is basically this modal header component. So it means I can now coming here and can do Modal.Header. You're seeing this IntelliSense also coming, and this is my modal header component. I can do that, right? Now, interestingly, modal header also takes the children props. So it means that you can pass anything over here. That's the flexibility talking about. Before, we used to pass one H2. I can now pass one H1 if I want. and I can say welcome. Yes, possible. Instead of H1, I can also pass H2. Whatever I need, I can pass. Similarly, I can do the Modal.Body, Modal.Body, and I can pass anything over here because Modal.Body again accepts children, and the children sits over here inside this div with a class name that is meaningful for this body. So I can pass this children over here, not as a prop, right? Now, anything that I can pass a paragraph, I can pass a table, I can pass an image, whatever. Let's pass a paragraph. So I'm saying this model built with compound component pattern, right? A paragraph that I have passed. Now the last thing that remain is the Modal.Footer. Let's pass them. Let's create that Modal.Footer also. So I'll say Modal.Footer, and again here I can pass children because Modal.Footer also can take children. Let's pass two buttons. One says close, and we can pass another button. We say do some action. Okay. You know what? You can pass three buttons, four buttons, five buttons. You can pass another button beautifully. It can say help. See the beauty of it. Isn't it really awesome? Isn't it really great? So I have this modal defined over here. Now I have also defined few other things. For example, in the modal I have defined something called isOpen and onClose. Let us also take advantage of it. Now isOpen is something looks like a state that I will be tackling wherever I'm initializing this modal, so that some button gets clicked. I can make this isOpen as true. At isOpen become true, I get this modal. Then if this particular cross is clicked on close, I can make that isOpen as false. So that time isOpen will be false, so it will return null and my modal won't be shown. Right? This is the logic that I have written, kind of a toggle. So for that purpose, I need a state over here. And as I need a state, I'll be using the hook called useState. And using useState here, let's define a state called isOpen with useState initialized with false. And it also gives me an updater function we know about useState, which we have defined as setIsOpen. Now, to open this modal, let us create a button, very simple button, and we'll say open modal. What this button does, on click of this button, we can make this setIsOpen as true. If we make setIsOpen as true, it is going to make this isOpen as true. Now what I can do, as I have this modal over here, I can pass this prop isOpen equals to isOpen. Now with this, I think my modal should come up. Okay, let's click on open modal. Oh, we get a modal, but there is no content. So also this cross icon is coming at the top. We have definitely made some mistake. That's fine. We are here to correct the mistake. So we'll go back to the code. I'm sure the mistake will be inside this modal.jsx. Yeah, I can find the mistake. Why? It is coming blank because I have done a spelling mistake over here. The children spelling is wrong. It has to be children. Okay, it should not be something else and that same name you are using over here. It has to be children. So children, children, and that's what I'm going to use over here. Okay, that's the first mistake. Second mistake is this button was coming outside. This button should come inside the container. So I will make this little bit more organized and put the button over here. Now this will come properly. Also, let me see anywhere else. Here also I made a mistake. This should be children, spelling mistake. Very sorry, children. Okay, rest all is good. So now let me go back to UI. I'm sure it will work now. Open modal, yes. Welcome. This is a modal built with compound component. I have close, I have do action, I have help, right? And click on this, it won't close because we have not written the code yet for this. Let's complete that. So simple. In the app.jsx file, apart from isOpen, we are also going to pass what am I going to do on close, right? So on close, I'm going to take this up and I'm going to do equals to is going to do exactly the same thing but a opposite one. So it's going to do false. So I'm making this isOpen as false. So this modal content goes off. The modal returns null. So it means nothing will be rendered. We can also do like when I want to do close here also I can do on click. Maybe I'll copy this as it is, this guy, right? On click equals to I close this modal whenever the close button gets clicked. For do action, I can define some action over here. Say on click, I can do alert. I can say action performed. Okay. If I want the help button to the left side instead of putting it here, now this is the flexibility I was talking about. I can move things around wherever I need, right? So Now, if I go back to UI, let's click on open modal. I get the modal. Welcome. This is a modal build, blah, blah, blah. Help has come at the leftmost. If I click on this close, it gets closed. If I click on this close, it gets closed. If I click on do action, alert will come saying action performed. Beauty. Now, the power of this modal that we're going to talk about, all the negative point we spoke about the messy implementation are all positive in this case. Isn't it flexible? Yes. I can put anything inside the header. I can put anything inside the body. I can put anything inside the footer. Isn't it reusable? Yes. I can use this modal for delete modal, create modal, information modal, whatever the way that I want. I just need to readjust what I'm going to put inside it based on my use case, right? Isn't it scalable? Yes. The same modal component can be used for any other purposes. You don't have to really rely on tweaking the props, doing different kind of conditions. This is really super modal that we have created. I hope you found this helpful. Now, if you have understood this, like how we have separated the component and then composed them together to build something really reusable, flexible, scalable component, I'm sure the next one that I'm going to show you is Accordion. You will appreciate as well. And please understand this thing well because you have to do this in the task as well. So I have a folder now called Accordion under with pattern. If I expand Accordion, I have a accordion.js. Let's understand. Very simple. Here is a component called Accordion. With the same pattern, it takes a children, okay, this time no spelling mistake, and each of the accordion takes an accordion item. So once you expand an accordion item, you get to see what is written inside that icon. Now this accordion item has got a title, and again what you want to put inside the accordion item should be flexible. You should be able to put a table there, you should be able to put another React component there, you should be able to put anything that you need over there, right? For that purpose, instead of hard coding to any particular element over here, we have taken as a children. And the JSX is very simple. Here is a button that shows the title that you have passed. This also, if you want, we can customize. And then this children is over here. Now, how accordion works. If somebody clicked on this particular button, I want to expand. I want to show this particular div where my accordion items content area is there. If it is clicked again, I want to hide it. So I have to maintain a state. For that purpose, I have a state over here called is open. By default, it is not open, so it is closed. And when somebody click on this button, I am making this is open toggling. If it was false before, it become true. If it was true before, become false. And based on whether it's a true or false, this particular area will be shown. So this is what my accordion item component. Now, as usual, as per the pattern, I have to add this as a subcomponent to my accordion component. That's the reason I have done here accordion.item equals to accordion item. So I have attached the subcomponents over here. And then finally, like modal, exporting just one thing from here. So I'm exporting this thing from here. Awesome. You understood? Excellent. Now, this accordion component, as I've exported from here, I have used it inside something called accordion demo. So I've imported this accordion over here and see how I have composed it. Just like modal, I have this accordion, start here, end over here. And inside this, I can keep how many accordion item I want to keep. Because inside everything, start of this accordion, end of this accordion, whatever I have, it will be passed as a children to my accordion component over here. And that will come here and definitely sit over here, right? So how many accordion item I want to pass, I can pass. Awesome, isn't it? So going to this accordion demo, I have now 3 accordion item. What I have passed a title, that's the button text. Once you click on this title or the button, you should expand and show this content. This is what I am passing as a simple text. But if you remember, in the accordion item, I have the flexibility of taking it as a children. So instead of text, you can pass a paragraph now, table now, button now, a React component, whatever you want to pass, you can practically pass from here. That's the beauty of it, right? Going to app.jsx file, what I'm going to do, I'm going to import it here. Import accordion demo. Okay, so this accordion demo I have imported from here to my app.jsx file. Now the beauty of this is, this accordion demo I can use in my Modal.Body. After this paragraph, I can just use this accordion demo component. Now you are seeing the flexibility. In the modal component, I used a paragraph before. Now I can use any other component. I'm using another accordion demo component. Okay. So let's see how it looks like, my accordion component within the modal. If I go back, I have this open modal. Look at that. When I click on it, my accordion item shows over here. If I click again, it's get hidden. If I click on it, it shows over here. If I click on it, it gets hidden. If I click on it, it gets showed over here. Okay. So you're seeing how flexibly my accordion is working within the modal. with the compound component pattern itself, and all its other behavior like closing it, all its other behavior like do action, all remain same. I have enhanced this model by adding an accordion along with the paragraph that I had before. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that compound component pattern is so flexible yet very strong, so that it gives us all the flexibility to tweak our component, reuse our component, whatever the ways that we are looking for. I hope you enjoyed learning this pattern. If so, please don't forget to subscribe to tapaScript, because that gives me a lot of motivation to teach you further. And thanks to all the subscribers who are with me, all the supporters who are with me so far. So with that, let us now understand a few more use cases of this pattern. All right, we have seen modal, we have seen accordion. You can create tabs, for example, in the same ways, like tabs, right? There are 2, 3, 4, 5 number of tabs that you can create, and you click on a tab, you see the tab area, you can go click on another tab header, see another tab area. You can actually build that. Please try it out. You can create drop downs, right? Even in HTML, if you see how the drop down gets created, it gets created using the select and option, right? Inside the select, you have something called option. That's like a compound composition pattern itself. You can create a drop down, full-fledged drop down in React using this pattern. You can create table, keeping table head, table body, table row. All these are subcomponents, and then compose them together to create a master table. So any components where layout and nesting matters, you can use this pattern to keep things isolated, flexible, and more reusable. And yes, if you are ever writing your own components, own libraries, own design system, this pattern is must. Look at Material UI, look at Redux UI, look at ShatCN. All these aspects, you will find the usage of this pattern a lot. So I hope the use case is clear to you. Now to talk about some of the pitfalls of the anti-pattern, I would say don't attach subcomponents very randomly. Whatever you put as a subcomponents like Modal.Header equals to Modal.Header, Modal.Body equals to Modal.Body, you should make sure that they should belong to the parent semantically. A header belong to the modal component semantically. A body attached to the modal component, the parent component semantically. So this is what you need to keep in mind whenever you're trying to attach the subcomponents. Don't do it randomly. Second thing is avoid re-exporting them separately. I haven't re-exported multiple components from the modal component, neither from the accordion component. I exported just one, either modal or accordion, and the subcomponents are attached inside it. Don't export like modal header, modal body, modal footer, everything from the modal component along with the modal component. So if there are juniors in the team, they will be getting more confused. And what they're going to do, they're probably going to use the modal header or the modal footer for some other component without a modal, which is going to be a disaster, because tomorrow you might want to tweak the modal footer, modal header, modal body, keeping just the modal in mind. But if it is used in some other components, that is going to be a disaster. So please make sure that you don't re-export them separately. And sometime we go overboard and make everything as a compound component. So rule of thumb that what you need to remember is like only use when the children structure matters. Only use with the previous one that I told, the use cases. Keep those use cases in mind. Use it over there. And definitely when you're making your own design systems, own libraries in React, this is a non-negotiable pattern for you. Oh yes, finally the task. So here goes the task of day 03, compound components pattern. I have showed you how to do modal, I have showed you how to do accordion, all the code with you. The link to my GitHub is in the description of this video. Follow that and build a simple card component. Using this particular pattern, your card should have a card header, card body, card footer. Make a card image, another one. Try using it with a few different ways to see how clean the code looks compared to a messy card with 10 props. So you might want to create a card component first with 10 props, and then you want to, how I have refactored my model, refactor it with the header, body, footer. You might want a card image later point of time. You can also compose that along with the card component, parent component. Please build that. And then similarly create a tab component also using this pattern. So these are the two things I want you to do as a task. And if you happen to do this, please come to Discord. Again, how to join Discord, the link is in the description of this video. Please join Folks are already discussing about 15 days of React design patterns. They're submitting their assignment and task. Please do that. If you successfully do for all, you're going to earn a badge from me that you can use it on your resume, social media, wherever you want. So with that, we are done with day 03. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know how it helped you. Let me know if you have learned anything new. I would be super happy to know your feedback. I'll be super happy to know that you have subscribed to my channel and you are with me in this journey. So very soon we'll be coming back with day 04 with another important pattern that you have to keep in mind. And please don't skip the task. Please take your time to do the task before you go to the next video. Thank you very much. Keep learning. Stay with tapaScript.